Okay, for those of you in the Zoom room, we're gonna wait for about 3 or 4 more minutes and then people come in.
Okay. Whoa. Ow. Up there.
Hello.
Yeah, so there was nothing.
There's a little there.
Yeah, it's just never.
Judge? No.
If you're talking in they are new racks. It's just go. People out there.
Couple of people.
Oh my God, I don't know what I took. Like it is.
I mean, I'm more than confident.
One of them is so expensive.
Oh.
That's what they said, so. All of the sauces are spicy.
Oh, okay.
My niece, her name's Maria, she's in Louisville.
Okay.
I met her at a networking event and, yeah, she does catering in Sun Valley, she has a brick and mortar here, and it's, yeah.
Well, maybe we should really have it started.
Yeah, we can start working on introductions.
Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're gonna start the meeting. My name is Catherine Archuleta, and I am your facilitator for the CAC meetings. I'm glad to see everybody's here today. And I will introduce Francisco, and he'll talk to us about interpretation.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Francisco Fidel from Nwca LLC. And National Western Center Authority is offering interpretation for those that would rather participate in Spanish. If you have not used that feature before, please click on the interpretation globe on the bottom right of your screen and select the language of your choice. Buenas tardes a todos y bienvenidos. Yo soy Francisco Fidel de Language Access LLC. Y yo soy parte del equipo de interpretación que el Centro National Western ofrece para aquellos que prefieren escuchar la reunión en español. Si puede, por favor, seleccionar el lobito en la parte inferior derecha de su pantalla y escoger el idioma que prefiera. Muchas gracias. Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you, Francisco. All right, so what we're gonna do is just go around the table so that everyone in both the Zoom room and at the meeting in the physical meeting room, we can know who's here. We'll start out with the Zoom room, Eduardo.
Hello. It's my first time in Zoom. This is nice. My name is Eduardo Gonzalez. I work for CSU Spur, and I am the Community Engagement and Outreach Coordinator for CSU Spur.
Great, thank you. Sarah?
Hi, all. Sarah DePietro with the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center.
Cassia and Kelvin?
Tasia and Calvin, we're community members.
Thanks, Tasha. Shelby?
Hi, I'm Shelby. I am the campus ticketing manager for the National Western Center Authority.
Thank you, Shelby. AE, are you able to introduce yourself? Did we get a message from her? Okay, Kristen.
Hello, Kristen Lang, with the Mayor's Office of the National Western Center, the program manager. The food looks delicious, by the way.
Claudia?
Hi, this is Claudia with Focus Points.
Thank you, and we'll start over here with Steve.
Hi everyone, Steve Nally with the National Western Center Authority.
I'm Ronell Walker with Nwca, social media manager and director.
And Renell just came on board with us, so he's gonna be helping us doing a lot of the media stuff that, we're gonna do moving forward.
Oh, great.
So, just to give you an example, over at, I think it was the last event we had, we were doing free headshots to the community, so we plan on doing that on, October 25th. We're gonna do a home ownership workshop here. I'm gonna invite anybody in the community that would like to have a do the headshot for their card or whatever. So please join us, and
Yeah.
you can, we'll give out, Renell's contact information as part of the minutes later on. Thank you.
Thank you, welcome. Christina, up on the Zoom room.
Hi, sorry, I think you skipped me over me. I'm Christina Garcia. I'm with the Birdsea Collective and we run the Globeville Center. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Christina. Yes, yeah.
Beth Vogelsang, and my firm's called OB Consulting, but I'm working with the Nwca team on things going forward, so.
Brian Perry, Mayor's Office of National Western.
Marcy Lochran with Nwca.
Mike Bouchard with Nwca.
Slavica Fox, Seattle Associates Consultant on Stock Show.
Wes Allison with Stock Show.
Virginia Calderon, neighbor from Swansea.
You're a Globeville resident.
Armando Payan, Global resident.
Alex Thompson, Compost, Colorado.
Lori Larita, Community Engagement with National Western Center.
Jenna Garcia with the National Western Center.
Thank you, everybody. Welcome again. As just a reminder, I thought I would, just remind all of us how we work together in reaching consensus. These are the values established by the CAC a couple of years ago. So, we operate with respect, trust, and openness and inclusivity because we want to build a strong, cohesive community. Safe sharing environment. We want to foster openness and ensure that our members feel safe to share ideas and consider new viewpoints respectfully. We make decisions by consensus. We have 4 options of agreement, reservation, stand aside, and block, allowing all voices to influence our decision. And we've used that a couple of times over the past year as we reach decisions that were necessary for the CAC. And we have a principle of strategies of sharing responsibility and effective community focused outcomes, knowing that we're all faced with a number of different issues each and every day. And that we're open to new ideas and want to share the responsibility of communication with everyone.
Can I introduce her?
Yes.
This is Heather. She's one of our neighbors from Globeville. And she's part of our team, home ownership team.
Armando. Shannon, I'm not Heather.
Oh, Shannon.
But I'm happy to introduce myself if that's all right, Armando.
You look like the girl Heather that lives right across the street from you.
I'm smart. Know what you're thinking.
No, there's a look like. Anyway,
And-
Shannon Hoffman.
And Heather's.
I'm sorry. But you, well, more than welcome to become part of our homeowners.
Well, thank you.
Did you want to see me?
I'm Shannon Hoffman. And the project manager for the Global Elaria Swansea Community Investment Fund, and I live in Elaria.
Thank you.
And then Amy said she would not have audio for 30 minutes.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to the National Western Center Community Update, and Lori.
So we just finished up our market at the center. It was great. It was our first time doing it this year. With it being our first year, we were really trying to engage the community members, and with the CSU Spur on that second Saturday, it was a success. We were able to work with some local vendors, entrepreneurs, as well as have some youth participate from the music lab with CSU Spur, as well as having some adults do entertainment, Latin All Stars. They were our entertainment for 3 of those months, and we're so grateful for that music and bringing the community together, just to enjoy. We're looking forward to 2026, and we're already in plans on what that looks like moving forward. We are still collecting donations for costumes, which we will then be handing out at the Fall Fest for Birdsea Collective. So if you or anybody has unused costumes that you don't want to use anymore, you have no need for them, please, consider donating. They will go to families in the Cac+Community. We Don't Waste will be here next Friday, and National Western Center will be participating and volunteering that day and really talking to our neighbors, as well as Campus Colorado will be giving out free compost as well. So we're really looking forward to that event. So far to date, we've given over 3 million servings of food, and we're really grateful for that opportunity because we've only really done it for about 6 months. So I'm just really excited about saving that food from the waste and really giving it out to our community and our families. Trunk or treat is happening. So excited. I have filled your inboxes with trunk or treat. Please decorate a trunk, be part of the planning committee. Come see the faces. So this will be my first trunk or treat. So I'm looking forward to all the activations, and SSA has donated hot chocolate and some snacks for that event, as well as we've got some face painters, and we've got the Transformers coming to do a little dance for the kids. So please just take that opportunity. I invite you guys to come see the families, enjoy that day, and enjoy the community.
What, that's on the 31st, right?
It is on the 31st. So last year they did decide to do it on a different day just to see if they could accommodate, but they had a lower attendance. So we're really trying to activate the day of and really be part of that community. And we have so many local communities and partners that are going to be decorating from. So we're really excited.
What time's it start?
It'll start from 4 to 6. It'll be a 2-hour. And so our goal is to have people ready at 3:30 and, just kick it off that way.
Cool.
Yeah, so please, try not to ignore my emails. I will share out the flyers if you need them. But again, we've got the Fall Fest that is hosted by Globeville Birdseed, and they'll be having it at Pocket Park on October 4th. And that event will have entertainment, food, and just so many different great activations, so that if you guys are interested, I'll be sharing that information as well. And we really wanted to say thank you to UCAN for not only participating in our Market for the Center with the music and really being part of the community, but the collaboration with the Homeownership Summit Series. They were able to serve 28 individuals that are participants, but had that activation, had that conversation, and really got the information they needed to become homeowners. So I just wanted to do a little shout out. Usually he's shouting everybody else out, but we just wanted to say thank you for that. All right, that is all I have, just because we have a pretty full agenda, so I wanted us to move forward.
Well, Brad, do you want to introduce what's?
You're easy, Brad. I can introduce myself.
That magic moment.
Yeah, you did perfect. That was
Yeah,
awesome.
we all got to look at him. See how that went.
Everybody. Allison, President and CEO of the Western Stock Show Association, the National Western Stock Show.
Thanks, Brad.
Welcome.
I appreciate it. So, first and foremost, just thanks for letting me be a part of this and share some things with y'all. And is Jenna's getting my presentation up right?
Sorry.
You're all right. Just making sure.
I had it pulled
Slide
up.
right
I
up here.
don't know where.
So first and foremost, stock show is January 10th through the 25th, if you didn't know that, 2026. So that is my job every time I speak, is to make sure you know when stock show is. So, I thought, first and foremost, and you can go to the second slide, Jenna, that you needed to know who I was and where I came from and how I ended up here in this beautiful city and being a part of the National Western Stock Show and Western Stock Show Association. So I grew up in the panhandle of Texas, And, as a kiddo, my dad was a county extension agent, so worked with the 4-H program. And I got to come and run around the yards as a little kid. And, you know, probably do things I shouldn't have done, but enjoyed it. I don't know that I can figure out how to jump over the fence again, but, anyway. And so for me, my whole life has been based in agriculture and has been based in raising animals and showing animals and doing those kind of things. And so, after I graduated from college, I really thought I wanted to be just a cowboy. So I went off in a ranch in West Texas with about 600 mama cows and 10,000 acres. And my wife decided we needed to move closer to town. So, we started driving that far to get groceries. And so, anyway, so I had an opportunity to work in the 4-H program and then went to the Houston Livestock Show and Rodeo and spent a few years down there. They went through a change in that campus, much like this campus is going through, and built what is now NRG Stadium. And so I got to be a part of that process, got to see the new facilities being built, got to stand up a brand new livestock building down there that was 5 football fields long and 2 football fields wide. So it was pretty cool to see how much livestock you can put in a building that big. And ultimately, the new livestock center reminds me a lot of that, because just the amenities that it has in it. And so enjoyed that, then spent the last 23 years in Waco, Texas, with a brand new facility there, not a brand new facility that opened in the 50s. And we went through a reconstruction phase as well and opened up some new facilities. So there's been twice in my life and my professional life that I've had an opportunity to help open a building. And so that is really exciting for me. Now I've got 2 kids, both grown. One's a senior at Texas A&M University and the other one is a development officer for the university. And both grew up as I did in agriculture and showing cattle and all of those kind of fun things. And my wife is a retired or semi-retired at this point school administrator. Spent 24 years of her career as a middle school principal. So there's a special place in heaven for middle school principals, I can assure you. At least she wore me out about it most of the night. You're a recap of the day. But, you know, I am here because of the tradition and the history and the opportunity for me to be at one of the big 4 in the stock show world. Denver, the National Western, there's only a few that still exist with the history we have on these grounds. And it is very important to that history as it is to this community as well. And so I am excited to be a part of embracing that and learning how I can help and work with this group. And so just be patient with me, right? Because I've been here since May and everybody talks to me like I've been here for years. And so there's people, we have conversations in staff all the time. They're like, well, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, yeah, I don't know what that is, y'all. So if the best thing for you to do for me, there's a vision somewhere down the road for where the stock show goes and how we embrace our new facilities and how we embrace our community and how we embrace new technology and all those kind of things. Right now, my job is to look and listen and learn and know how we can be a good neighbor and what we can do. And so I hope you will help me with that and be patient with me as well as I learn how we do things. So, really quickly, just a little bit of a recap of stock show. I think there's some things like some free and discount tickets, the CAC dinner that SSA and the center will host is happening again. Of course, we have some free admission for our kiddos and the parade and the wagon, and there's a few other things that we've been working on. But at this point, they're still kind of work in progress because I'm still learning, right? So looking at ways that we can celebrate the community in the 120th anniversary at the same time, because it has been a big part of the partnership. And so, but I don't know yet, guys. We're still working on those things and visiting with folks about that. And then the other thing that I thought was important is that I share a little bit about where we're at with legacy and the legacy. And so, Jenna, if you want to just go to that next picture, is an outside picture. We are on track to open it and excited to open it. And ultimately, there's a couple of slides here that we'll share again.
Sorry, it's super
delayed. No, you're fine. That's the outside, the front door of the building. We'll work on a plan as we get moved into this building. TCO projected for November 3rd. We won't even move staff over there till after Thanksgiving, as we still have a lot of processes that have to happen and we work on that. But one of the things that we've talked about is, you know, an opportunity to have an open house for the community at some point as we work forward. So we'll map that out and share with this group and make sure that this group is a part of that, and those, you can go to the next one whenever you're ready to. The legacy, that's the name. And so it obviously represents our legacy and your legacy and all of those fun things that this building will represent. You can go to the next one as well. I will tell you that we as Stock Show built this building, paid for this building out of our funds, and so it is something outside of, if you will, the agreement and you know what we do, but we are also participating with all of the things that the center does and sharing resources and doing those kind of things and looking at ways that we can jointly stand up events and be successful here to create economic impact. That is the old National Western Stock Show sign that we put back up. And signs are, you know, signage is a hard thing to figure out how to do it all everywhere. So, but that is the old National Western Stock Show sign that's now up on. That is the 4th floor terrace. So in through those glass doors would go back toward the National Western Club. So that means
Facing west?
Facing sure west, is that right? Somebody that knows their directions. Southwest, yeah, southwest, no, yeah.
You mean where that picture?
That picture, if you're looking back at the building, you're looking front, but if you stood on the terrace and looked back, you would be facing west. See, it's not there. That you'd see mountains, right? I got that part, you know, I came from the flatland, so it's hard for me to figure out which direction is. So you can go to the next one. That is the saloon on the 1st floor. So when we started talking about a saloon, the board of directors told the architects, we want one just like you step back into the 1880s in the West. So it has 10-top ceiling tiles, it has hardwood floors, it is a giant, you know, oak bar, it has everything that you think you needed for a saloon back in the Old West. So it is on the plaza side of the building, and so we'll figure out how to open it as we go. And I think that's the last one, isn't it? I believe so, yeah. So any questions for me?
I have some questions.
Great.
I am curious to know, so, the Community Investment Fund, which Shannon Care works for.
Yep.
And is part of the framework agreement, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Gets roundup dollars.
Mhm.
And I would like to know what the plan is to improve the roundup, because most point of sale is just give me the cash. There's no question about the roundup. It's not presented as an option. To standardize that throughout the next stock show. And then also at the saloon.
Yeah, so there is conversation going on right now between SSA and their new point of sales, as well as Brad and his team being a part of that, and us about what that looks like. So I don't know that I can answer that at this point today. So it is top of mind to look at that and how we signage that and those kind of things, but
We
yeah.
have to have an update on maybe next
Yeah.
CAC.
I think as we work through that, Brad, well,
Yeah,
it
what I
may take a
can tell
minute to
you
get through that, but.
Is that, we are on track to have electronic point of sale at all the locations for stock show and for all events. On the campus, it's happening for all events on the campus now that we operate and sell concessions. And it is every single point of sale transaction, it is on the screen, so it is outside of human error, forgetting, or for whatever reason not bringing it up. It is there for every single transaction. And we should be able to speak to stock show by the next CAC if we're gonna be able to accomplish that. But I believe we will.
Okay, cool, great.
Oh, I have a question. So for next year, is there gonna be a stock show?
Of course.
And if there's gonna be a stock show, when you pay, they're gonna take that percentage from your payment? Or how you gonna do the CIF? Cause I know a lot of the CIF funds were from the tips from the workers of the SSA group. And I don't feel like that's fair that most of the tips, they didn't pay tips to the workers.
Well, they paid tips outside of that. They were paid tips outside of that directly from SSA when they did that.
Because I know they were not receiving any tips.
Well, at the point of sale, they were not receiving the tips at the point of sale that was going to the CAF. That's how they got the number higher. But the staff was receiving tips from, paid directly from SSA.
Okay.
Yeah, separately, not at the point of
Yeah,
sale.
yeah, because I have
But separate.
some people working there and they say they never got the tips.
Um,
Even outside.
can talk to SSA about
And
it.
just because I feel like tips should go to the workers. Because, I mean, it should go to the workers.
Yeah.
And we could find a better way to have funds for also the CIF.
Well, now that it will be on every screen, it's just like if you go to Ace Hardware and you're asked if you, do you want to round up your purchase for Children's Hospital, and you say yes or no, and it happens. It is separate from a tip transaction. You have the ability to tip and you have the ability to round up.
And it would be good, I don't know if you remember, to just have a screen saying what is the CIF, because when I was there, there were people, they were asking, do you wanna donate to the CIF? And people were like, no, because they didn't even know what was the CIF. Even though there's the things that you have there, people were not reading those, like, people were just reading the menu and everything, and they were not really, like,
And there'll be signs again. I think this year they're gonna have a QR code on them that'll connect directly back to the CIF website.
and maybe just asking the workers or the employees to, tell the people what is the CIF, so they can understand what is CIF. It's like,
Oh, it was
you
last
study
year.
for the CIF? And it's like, no, people were saying no, but they never said what was the CIF.
Last year, was the first year that the CIF committee met directly with the SSA staff to do an orientation with them, and I believe, Jim, that could happen again
I
this
think
year.
so. We have a meeting scheduled for October 6th to talk about marketing, stuff like that, to talk about the QR code piece. But yes, it is our hope to also do presentation to the staff so that they know about it. But I appreciate all the questions.
It would also be good to engage Coliseum side as well, because that's in the city, that is not SSA.
Yes, we met
Matter,
with them, we met with Gretchen and Tad just this past Monday, and then Tad and the person from Aramark will also be on that October 6th meeting. And my understanding, Wes, is that you'll be on that meeting as well.
If it's on my
So-
calendar, I'll be on it. That's, my calendar's, I just go
Your
get the
Bible,
account.
me too.
Yeah,
Me
just-
too.
October 6th is so.
Yeah, it's all, yeah.
Any other comments or questions?
Thank you.
Well, thank you, Wes. Thanks for being here. And we'll move over to, Mike.
So, thanks everybody. We have a series of updates from Nwca this evening, but before I get to those, and before we get to this PowerPoint, you just pull up that top slide. I wanted to talk a little bit about an opportunity that's come up that involves some partners in the community. So, we have the opportunity to participate in a fellowship program with the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy. We were invited by Tierra Colectiva Community Land Trust, the CIF, and GES Coalition to participate as part of a cohort. That is a 6-month fellowship program, sort of a deep dive research program looking at some of the most challenging issues around land policy in the country today. Specifically, the Lincoln Institute of Land Policy is a private nonprofit foundation researching creative approaches to equitable land use policies to support thriving communities, which is a mouthful. But right now, they're specifically looking at the opportunity to bring teams together of city and community leaders and partners, focusing on how community ownership can work on city-owned land to address the housing crisis and provide long-term community benefits. So we saw this as a great opportunity. We appreciate the invitation to be part of this sort of deep dive using the thought leadership that the Lincoln Institute can provide to bring this thinking to the Triangle and how different community ownership models that include community land trusts could be developed and deployed or implemented there. I want to give our partners a chance to talk also about their own involvement, and then we can take any questions if there are any.
I can go. Hi, everyone. I'm Nola Miguel. Haven't been in person here at the CAC for a while, but I've been involved for a long time. I'm the executive director of the GES Coalition and have been for about 10 years, or various versions of director and coder. I am more focused now on Tierra Colectiva. Tierra Colectiva is our community land trust that we've been building out in Global Swansea. Hasn't been easy. It's every house we have to hustle for, but now we have 14 homes in Global Swansea that are part of the community land trust. All those people that bought those homes were at risk of displacement in the neighborhoods and are now stabilized in homes. We usually sell those homes for around 57% of the AMI, which is like 200 to 225,000, just about a quarter of the market price. And then we're also working on some larger scale multifamily projects. You may have heard of the 4965 Washington Street, which is the public library, a community cafe, and 170 units of affordable housing. And that's all affordable rental. Some of the deepest affordability the most affordable LIHTC project that's ever happened in Colorado. And then we're working on a new project on Brighton. I want to introduce Danny for those of you that haven't met them yet. Danny is our new real estate director. As we've started to grow and get bigger, we need someone with expertise like Danny has to help us actually build these things. We've been working with Habitat for Humanity and Brothers Redevelopment and lots of different forms of incubation and partnership and development partners. And we're really excited to be doing things more on our own, but still working with a lot of different types of development partners. But as those of you that know GES Coalition, our 10-year anniversary is December. Virginia Calderon is our board president. We are a member organization. All members are GES neighbors. Our board is all people that live in Global Swansea. Gil is actually running right now as a candidate to be on the board. So we're amidst elections. You could campaign right now if you. Shannon is also part of our board. And Gil's also been part of the Triangle Committee, which is our active organizing committee that's been doing the community-owned land campaign around the Triangle. So we've been working towards having community control land at the Triangle for a while now, and I've talked about that in various forums in this meeting. Happy to talk about it more. But this opportunity specifically, I think we're very interested in figuring out what national models look like, how could this really work, publicly owned land and community land trusts together. How could that really catalyze? This isn't anything that we're being paid to do. This is all voluntary. And we see this as an opportunity to really catalyze and see what could actually happen. And we would love to come back to CAC, we'll also be coming back to, we have monthly organizational, GS Coalition meetings that are public that anyone can attend. We also have monthly campaign meetings for the Triangle campaign, meetings that are public. So we'll also be coming back to those groups and talking if anybody wanted to participate in any of those groups. But that's kind of our perspective. I'm happy to answer any other questions.
Great. Well, I'm Shannon Hoffman. I'm with the GES Community Investment Fund. Thank you for the questions about the roundup. It lets me know too that people know about where our main funding source right now is at. And that there are neighbors that really care about that. So we are an autonomous neighbor-led organization, and we redistribute power and resources. So we fund community-led projects and programs, and we seek to disrupt inequity and mitigate the effects of gentrification. We want to foster generational wealth. Our board was founded in 2021 Angela Garcia, that's online, is one of our founding board members. We bring some really, I think, relevant experience, as we've had now 2 years of running a grant making program. So we've granted out $86,000 in the first year of our fund, $90,000 in the second year of our fund from the roundup. We are now looking to expand to become a debt fund so that we can move into doing revolving loan efforts. And we're really excited about being a part of this project because we also believe in community control of finances. So we're really supportive of community control of land, and we also think that community control of finances with that is really how we can have a lot of decision-making power for folks in these neighborhoods. So yeah, thank you for us having the opportunity to speak as well.
Great, and then from the city side, this is a joint effort between Nwca, obviously because it will look at the area of the triangle, but also the mayor's office with Millie Barceo, who's the mayor's director of outreach, as well as Department of Finance with Donald Wilder. So really kind of a broad representation from the city side, and really excited about the opportunity to really explore what community ownership models can look like, how we find common ground, common definitions, and common language about what it means. I think it means different things to different people in this room right now. And so part of this gives us that opportunity, using this nationwide expertise, to have a facilitated discussion about that. It is separate from the triangle planning process, which we'll talk about here in a minute. Beth will give an update. But we'll look for those opportunities to bring the information and the research that's generated through this to inform how that could be played out in Triangle and share that more broadly with the community. And just in 1 second, Armando. Yeah, we're committed to the transparency around this, and that's why we're bringing it now, because we want to make sure folks are aware that this is happening. And just to note that it will be sort of formally kicking off at the Lincoln Institute's annual conference, which is happening here in Denver, October 15th to 17th. And happy to bring updates to this group as it makes sense moving forward. So yeah, questions?
I'll just wait to her presentation, because I think the question I'm gonna ask is holistic, and I think, I'll wait for her comments first.
Okay.
Unless you want me to.
No, that's fine, we can wait for Triangle and incorporate it there.
Yeah.
No pressure. Yeah, please.
If I could just add, the Lincoln Land Institute, one of the most incredible election compendium of land use I've ever seen, and just absolutely the most, the largest, deepest, richest collection of, I don't know how many years, many decades they've been around, philanthropically funded and doing incredible research for a long, long time. I got to know them when I was planning director for the city. They fund a gathering every year, and they invite the 30 largest US cities planning directors to their offices, and they pay the expenses. They fly everybody in, they put us up, they feed us for 3 days, and just to have conversation about what's going on in cities. And I attended 5 of those when I was planning director, and now back as interim. I fly there next Saturday for another one. They are the quality of the conversation, the depth of the research is just super impressive. Mike was telling me about this opportunity. I thought, wow, this is fantastic. They're the best around in terms of process and quality of information.
Yeah, and also it's a good point. So while sort of Department of Finance, Nwca, and Mayor's Office are sort of the named members of the cohort, we're really representing the whole city. We'll be bringing expertise from CPD, from Host, all the departments that are going to be necessary to help make this a reality. So we think it's a fantastic opportunity. We're really excited.
If I forgot to tell a little bit of the origin story, Brad, you just triggered it for me. So Danny and myself and Mercedes were at the Grounded Solutions Conference in DC. We drove to DC. And the like closing remarks, were the director of the Lincoln Institute who's retiring, Mac McCarthy, and, he like gave this whole presentation that was like, there's all this public land across the United States, and why aren't we leveraging it with tools like community land trusts that know how to preserve land in perpetuity for their communities? Why aren't we doing this in more places? And then put out an offer of, if there's teams out there of city and community land trusts that want to come together and think about community ownership and really workshop it and make it happen on a larger scale, come talk to me. And we did, and then we talked to Mike. So yeah, it's amazing opportunity. There's a couple different cohorts that are going through right now, that are from Chicago and different cities, and they have lessons that they've learned. So it'll be super interesting to both learn from the previous, groups in other cities that have just done this, and also to see where our process takes us.
Great. If you go to the next slide, we'll do our pump update. So just really high level, we do this every month, but sharing the latest and greatest on construction impacts happening in the neighborhood. Starting in the upper left, the 51st Avenue project, that has been now awarded to Ames Construction. They will begin work in October. In the meantime, there is utility work ongoing, and there is still a closure on 51st. That's expected to be complete here soon on the 30th of September. Moving down to the bottom left, bottom middle is the levee project. That it currently has a trail detour along the river, so it's the South Platte River Trail. And that will be being modified here shortly. The entry and exits at 46, and the ramp will be temporarily moved. So just be aware that those shifts are happening to allow them to continue to do the construction work they need to do. Keeping going in a counterclockwise direction to the data center at 49th and Race. Utility work continues to prompt a closure of East 49th Avenue. That's supposed to be in place, I believe, till the end of October. And then finally, just want to acknowledge, so I'm circling all the way back to 51st, that there is a groundbreaking ceremony for the 51st Avenue project and the Washington Street projects on Friday, October 3rd, from 11 to 12 p.m. It'll happen in the Butcher Block Cafe parking lot, that's located on Washington and 50th. Dottie will be there, OCBE, I believe the mayor will be in attendance, and so that will be a big event. We'll share all the details with this group if you're interested in joining.
Can I add on to that? Sorry, the October 23rd is the groundbreaking for across the street, the library, the 170 units in the community cafe, October 23rd at 4 p.m. and the mayor will be there.
A lot's happening on the Washington side of things.
The 4965 Washington Street, the global library and the affordable housing.
Did you say there was a market there too?
It's a community cafe.
Community cafe.
Not quite ready for this to go back. We don't get too distracted. There's two other things I want to just really quickly that you may have heard about in the press, and so just want to make sure that we're upfront and sharing information and answering any questions. The first is the audit that recently occurred of the livestock center design contract. So we, first of all, just want to say that Nwca, and as far as we represent the mayor's office, obviously values the work that the auditor's office does. We've had previous audits before. They've been helpful, and the process improvements that came out of that process, we are now part of how we do our work every day. However, in this case, there were some findings that we could not agree with. There were 9 findings total. We disagreed with 7 of those findings, and it was largely based on a misunderstanding between the design contract and the construction contracts. And so the way that the findings were structured, they were unclear and in some cases inaccurate, which is why we had to respectfully disagree. But even though we disagreed with those findings, there are important lessons that we take away from that and process improvements that we will continue to implement as part of our program. We can always do better. That's not a question. But I just wanted to, we don't really get a chance to kind of explain the process from our side. So I wanted to take this opportunity. I think there's too much to go into detail about, but if there are specific questions that the community has, folks in this room or online have, I'm happy to try to answer those now.
Obviously, it did impact the end result, so.
What's that?
It didn't impact the end result, which is building the.
Correct.
So that's, I mean.
Correct.
To me, that's.
Okay. The next one is WNBA. So again, you may have seen an article in Denverite about the potential opportunity of WNBA. And so I just wanted to give an update of kind of what we know and what, if anything, this might mean to the campus. So earlier this year, Denver was one of the cities pursuing a potential WNBA franchise expansion. We obviously know that we've got a 10,000 seat arena that we're building in Triangle. And so there was an early sort of exploratory conversations about could a WNBA type of use overlay and work with the 10,000 seat arena that we already need to build as part of the program. The answer was maybe it could work. We didn't see any necessarily fatal flaws sort of structurally, but the next steps would obviously have been extensive planning, engineering, and feasibility studies, and an extensive public engagement process. The bid was unsuccessful, and so we didn't take those next steps. However, I think it's important that this is a good illustration of the types of conversations we will be having in the Triangle vision planning process. What kind of arena do we want this to be? What kinds of uses, in addition to the campus uses that we know it has to support? What other types of things is WNBA something that we would be interested in, that the community would be interested in? What other things are there? How can the arena and how it's programmed and developed truly have community benefits that can benefit both the broader GES neighborhood and the Triangle redevelopment specifically? So I just want to highlight that, yes, there were early, very conceptual conversations, but we intend to bring that same level of conversation into the community planning process and have that inform what the ultimate vision is for Triangle. So I will stop and take questions on that if there are any. Okay.
So not pursuing anymore?
No.
Still not pursuing.
No, well, so there was potentially an investment group pursuing a bid, and that's what prompted the initial kind of, could this even happen? Could it even work? That was ultimately unsuccessful. There is no other proposals that I'm aware of. But what we'd like to do is have the conversation with the community. Is this a use that we think could make sense here? Is it something the community would be interested in? As well as other potential uses. I use that as an example, but there's lots of other ways that this arena could be developed and things it could host and things it could do. And we need to evaluate what that means for both the Triangle redevelopment and the broader neighborhood.
Questions or comments? No problem.
Okay, now back to the slides. Okay, so wanted to end on Triangle and give you an update on the community vision planning process coming soon to meetings near you. So as a reminder, we actually started this process over a year ago. We engaged the community outreach work group, went through a lengthy process with them. They gave us a series of recommendations on how to do outreach around the Triangle plan in a different way. We've spent the past few months really studying those and figuring out how to incorporate those into a planning process moving forward. Just a reminder, this is a slide we've shared before. These are the types of things, these bullets, that we will be looking at and exploring with the community when we do this planning process. So understanding just the baseline and the framework agreement, the master plan, the things like the public assets that the city still needs to build, what land is beyond that available for other types of uses, what horizontal infrastructure is required, land uses and densities, environmental, community benefits and community ownership models. That's always been at the top of the list of things we will be discussing. And then ultimately, what does the path forward look like? How would we actually develop a plan of finance and figure out delivery methods to implement the vision that will come out of this? So that's just a quick recap of where we've been. I want to hand it over to Beth, who's helping us lead the engagement process to give you a more detailed update about what some of the upcoming next steps are.
Yeah, okay, so like we said, this is an introduction tonight. We're not here to talk about it in a lot of great detail, but we definitely want to tee it up. So if we go to the next slide. So I will mention too, my background is in planning and engagement, and so that's what my firm does. I recognize many familiar faces, been in Globeville quite a long time, but this is a pretty exciting process. And if you can see that, I'm gonna just walk you through. This is the idea of what we're going to do over about an 18-month period, 17 to 18 months. And so if you look at the little map there, if we can launch this in October, which is our intent, and so we're going to talk about that a bit, we will get into the review of the conditions of the site, neighborhood context, the setting and reminding ourselves, confirming our values, our vision, our goals, where we're headed. One couple notes, we are going to base this process in a strong foundation on past neighborhood planning, other design and efforts that have taken place. So we're not starting entirely from scratch. A lot of the work that committee has already invested in, and a lot of historic data and context, which is always really important when we work in Globeville and Elyria-Swansea. So we will proceed through site programming and ideation and sort of like we call bubble diagramming, like where do we want things and how do we want this site to play out? We'll work through a series of those ideas. And then we'll go into actual alternatives for the site. So getting much more specific, no longer bubble diagrams, but actually like looking at what we can do, where we'll put things, how this will work. And finally getting into our final site plan to wrap up. So with that, we recognize and have heard loud and clear from the community group that we need a very robust and integrated engagement program. So we are going to work directly with the community through this whole process. You can see on the bottom line, we've just indicated this really with, we're going to have a kickoff in October, and we're going to conclude with the celebration as we all get to agreement on what this correct plan for the Triangle site is. And so a lot of the things we like to note is that some of the things that were in the community working groups outreach plan, right, is that this should be very neighborhood centered. This should be very collaborative with the neighborhood. We want very much a focus around how do we engage people and how many people are we reaching through this process. So all of those ideas are very much integrated to how we're going to perform and work with the community through this process. And it'll all be tied directly to that planning process, and everything we learn feeds and informs the plan development. Okay, that's the setup. If we go to the next one, just briefly, I just want to introduce that we are going to launch this and have a lot more detail to share with everyone in mid-October. And we thought we would start our first conversation with the community organizations. And so there are many organizations in this community. This is an open meeting, so any are invited to attend. But for instance, maybe it's schools, libraries, rec centers, RNOs, other community organization and faith-based groups. So very much open. And what we'd like to do in that first meeting is walk you through all the details, explain how the engagement process that we're going to be entering into will work, what roles there are and responsibilities for the community in that process, and hopefully get a lot of participants ready to roll to move forward in this. After we do that, we'll come back to the CAC in October. So this meeting next month, and we will have lots more details about the engagement planning process and how it all ties together. Yes.
Can you share what the decision-making structure will be within the planning process? Is this like folks get to, give their input and someone else is gonna make that decision, or is it direct community decision?
So we are working really hard. I have a list here everything that was in the community, the Cal outreach plan, right? And when we come back next time, I'm really gonna go into all the detail of it, but we have really tried to address exactly what we're gonna do that pertains to what that was requested in terms of participation, representation, and how are we going to make decisions as we move through that process. So our hope is that you're gonna be thrilled with what we're coming up with and the ways that everyone gets to participate. So it's not only meetings, it's online tools as well. And it should play out to be very representative and collaborative. That is what we're trying to build.
Yeah, and I would just add that there will be a public facing dashboard that is collating and capturing all of the input and
so you'll see
the preferences that we're getting throughout the process. That that was one of the things that was loud and clear from the community outreach work group is needs to be transparent, it needs to be accessible, and there needs to be data that you can see. So we're working on that right now, but nothing on the back end, the technical side of how that's gonna work, those are the details that we'll bring, but
Yeah.
definitely appreciate the question.
I have a few questions. Has this been shared with the Cal group, what you're working on?
No, this is still all in development and just about ready. And I think our first return will be to just the community organizations, and that's open to anyone that wants to attend.
Okay.
So that will be the first time.
Okay. And then I know in that, like in the council presentation from the COW to city council, there were a lot of recommendations about some, very thorough community outreach efforts, including, door knocking efforts, I think maybe some mailer efforts, some efforts to see, to your point about the dashboard, to see has every house been hit and how many times. But I also know there were questions from council and potentially even the mayor about the budget to be able to do all of that. So what is the budget for this process? And sub question to that is, are the current budget cuts that are happening in the city affecting the budget for this process?
So
I'm gonna let Mike speak.
I'll
to
just
the
the first
budget.
question, that no, not directly, like we are looking at this, the recent budget challenges do not directly affect this effort. However, we don't have unlimited funds, and so we're trying to scale this based on the CAL, we work to scale this appropriately so that we're following through on as many of the CAL community outreach work group recommendations as possible. And scaling the effort with the dollars at hand. Appreciate the question about the budget. I think we're honestly still working through what this really looks like. But we will make sure that we can report out at that at a future date.
Okay. Sorry, go ahead. No. Will you be able to, do you anticipate being able to hit some of those requests about trying to hit every door in the neighborhood?
Yes, certainly, with between door knocking and flyering, that's integral to how we're approaching it. We're focusing on smaller group meetings and workshops, not big public meetings. That's another thing we heard very clearly. And the metrics and the dashboard of how we're tracking that are at the forefront of how we're addressing the process.
Cool, thank you.
It's a lot of work.
Other questions or comments?
What firm are you with?
I have my own firm, it's called OB Consulting, and we have been in business for 24 years in Denver and have a long-standing relationship. Doing a lot of community work, and we lead the CPD's neighborhood planning initiative through all the neighborhoods. So, and a long history on stormwater and other investments in Washington Street, all this area over here too. So happy to share more. No, Angela very well.
Cool. She's a good person.
Yes, she is.
No, that is it from us. If there are no other questions.
Armando, you?
Well, just real brief, no matter what happens, no matter what recommendations, the ultimate decision is, or the biggest influencer of the decision-making process is the mayor. So no matter what, you go with the brain trust, nationwide project, they come back and they say, okay, you know, we believe in collaborative land trust, residents, they get to live in these properties for free for 10, 20, whatever your amount, but they don't get any equity out of it, there's no generational wealth coming out of that. But the mayor or whoever's involved in his cabinet will ultimately make that decision, am I correct? No matter what happens with her findings, her research, what ends up happening, those are just recommendations that'll go to his office. And then he's the one, or him and his cabinet, or whoever he assigns that to, provide the input, and then they're ultimately make the decision.
I don't know that I necessarily characterize it that way. I mean, the information that we're generating in the public process will inform what the preferred plan is.
Correct.
There are lots of, to your point, lots of additional sort of complex layers that we need to work in, like community ownership, and how does that work? And what would that look like in terms of actually delivering that? And what the mayor has expressed is a commitment to community ownership in the triangle. What the Lincoln Institute process offers us is a way to really understand, well, what does that mean at a very specific level? And here are the different options. Those will be shared back with the community and with him to be like, okay, this is what you said, Mr. Mayor. This is how it could actually work, and this is what the community will support. And all of that will lead collectively into the decision on how to move forward on triangle.
Yeah, but again, my point is, you can grant all the information you want, but it's ultimately in his office, the decision comes out of his office.
I mean, there's a CPD process that we're part of, like.
I don't see community planning development, I understand, I get all that stuff, zoning and all that stuff.
I suspect where the decision is gonna end up is in city council.
Yeah.
Because regardless of, I just would assume there's gonna be multiple decision points that are gonna require city council approval. One of them will be a rezoning.
Correct.
So that for sure is gonna happen.
Yeah.
And there could be others around some financing mechanisms, I could imagine, but for sure. Rezoning. And council's not going to rezone this property until the full package is figured out. You couldn't go today and say, hey, we just wanna, an average 12 stories or 8-story, whatever the heck it is, across the triangle, they wouldn't approve that, so.
Well, that makes sense, I mean, that adds more flavor to the process. I also believe that would city council be in concert with the mayor's office, going down that path to kind of end the resolution. What's the best for the city and also what's best for this community. So
I think we've seen varying levels of inconcertness between.
I know somebody hits the drums a little bit harder than the violin, I get that.
Well, but I think the point, I think you saw an 18-month schedule for this planning process. Like, this is not something we're taking lightly. We understand that the only path forward is through this collaborative community visioning process. There is no other way to get there, because we do need council, we do need the mayor's office and everybody else to be on.
We need everyone to be on the same page by the time we get there. And so when you said those lines, the orange lines, they look kind of long, but that's because we have a lot going on through every single phase of this process. A lot of engagement, a lot of agreement, a lot of making sure we're on the same page before we enter into the next phase. So, my answer to that would be, well, let's just do a good job and let's tell them what we want,
And it's
get
more
the
be
council behind
invested,
us.
be invested in each other's success. All of the partners, all of the stakeholders, all of the constituencies, listening, hearing, understanding what success looks like for each other, being as involved in understanding what success really is for the community, for the National Western Stock Show, for the National Western Center Authority, for CSU, for all the stakeholders, being as much or even more interested in learning about what their definition of success is, rather than getting in a position where we're all defending our own, making sure we have our own success. We really did that. I know this sounds Pollyannish, but it's possible. I've seen it happen when everyone is interested in everyone succeeding. The whole becomes greater than the sum of its parts, and everybody succeeds more than they thought. And that is absolutely possible here. It's absolutely possible here. Or it's a fight, right?
Yeah.
And that just doesn't. It doesn't,
Yeah.
it will affect, it
We're
will
gonna
all,
work
it will all.
toward
it will all
togetherness.
affect-
And getting there together.
No, what did you have a comment?
I'm just, the mid-October, what is that?
The community organization's first meeting, that would be, we don't have a date set, but if you're interested, of course, you would be on this list. We would get out an invite to a mid-October meeting to go through this process in a lot more detail.
Okay, so really kind of
Launch.
right up, and we've got a bunch going on. in
Yeah,
October, so I'm
Feel
like.
free to let me know because
When
we
we
don't
get a date.
have that date set. If you wanna just shoot me, like, hey, this week is all this other stuff happening, just let me know. Or, and also since we're on it, does anybody have preferences for evening or daytime community organization meetings?
I have a question. So
Yeah.
if Maria is not in an organization or myself, are we allowed to go to the meeting or not?
Yeah.
Don't belong to an organization.
Right.
Like if residents want to get involved.
Totally. So it's not a closed meeting, so of course. This is just one aspect. So we are going to be working with residents specifically enormously as we go through this process. So if you don't attend an organization meeting, you're going to have many, many other ways to be involved. But if you're interested in attending and listening, it's not a closed meeting. And we just thought we would go back to the organizations first to share the info and then proceed forward. And we'll have a big community kickoff event, first in November kind of timeframe.
Okay, Nola and then AE.
I'm done.
Oh, you're done, okay, AE,
Can you hear me?
yeah.
Can you hear me? Catherine?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. I just wanted to put a little bit of a spotlight on the confidence that in response to what Armando and Brad were saying, I'm absolutely confident from what the process has been that the mayor will not have veto power over what the outcome is of a very well-led, engaged process that's being described when the value system is the greatest possible good for the greatest number of people with the concerns of equity and true community guided and community managed land ownership. And I want to say that because I think the wisdom that we need to be aware of in GS Coalition and Tierra Colectiva inviting Nwca into the discussion with the resources in Lincoln is because, in the Lincoln Project, is because there is a very different use of words regarding community control coming out of the mayor's office initially from what community managed, community owned land is in the context of creating a dynamic project and economy within the triangle and in the context of the neighborhoods. So I think it's really important to recognize the discussion is ripening now, much to the credit of the organizations that have brought a lot of information about the alternatives to the neighborhoods and in to the what is going to be definitely a rich discussion coming out of the Lincoln Project. But we will have to be able to not just have a checklist of different options, but really be able to talk about the economics and the dynamics and how does the project enrich and lift up and truly vitalize the neighborhoods that have from the outset with this project been an imperative. And I just want to say that one last thing, several times during the evolution of this the National Western Center campus over the last decade, there has been discussions where zoning has been changed, where the planning process has been implemented, and where this has gone through these steps. And now this could make a qualitative difference, depending entirely on if there's a full understanding of the impact within the neighborhoods of what the options are as people come to the table to express what their wishes would be. So transparency isn't just listing what's going on in meetings and discussions, but making sure that there are really good instruments demonstrating the different entry points and the different concepts and the different options coming out of the discussions all along the way before decisions are made. So I just wanted to put that on the table, just to put the spotlight on it.
Thank you, Amy. Okay, any other comments, questions?
It's burning a hole in my head. I'm just gonna piggyback off of Amy, and, I appreciate, Brad, I appreciated your comments about understanding like the motivation and what success looks like for each other. I also just wanna name that there's a power dynamic between large institutions in the city and global area Swansea neighbors and community nonprofits. And when we're talking about what success looks like, and we're hearing about legacy, earlier. I think there's a part of this conversation that needs to reckon with the history of the triangle. How that land came to be in the possession of the city and what it means to repair some of that harm. And how that factors into mutual success, right? It's not a win-lose, it can be a win-win, but we need to really be able to understand some of that history. And I'm learning about that history as someone newer to this process myself. So.
Thank you. All right, with that, we'll move on, with, Steve on the Equestrian Center and Hotel.
Hi everyone, again, I'm Steve Nally, Chief Real Estate Officer here at the National Western Center Authority. I'll be really brief. We have a separate meeting dedicated to and focused on the Equestrian Center, hotel, housing, parking garage, greenhouse, community building, project. That meeting is the second Wednesday of every month, so our next meeting is on October 8th. Right here in this room, you can also join online. Starts at 5 p.m. For folks that are not on the invite list, please come see me or email Lori if you'd like to get on the task force, the Equestrian Center task force list, so we can make sure we can include you on the distributions of information and the invite for that meeting. The purpose of my update today is just to be an update of what was discussed at that meeting and what's coming up. So at our last meeting, 2 weeks ago, we talked about construction jobs. Hensel Phelps, who's the contractor, the builder, general contractor for the project, will have to meet certain workforce and minority, small business, women-owned requirements in their hiring to construct the project. They brought two organizations, Second Chance Center Incorporated, or SCC, which is a provider for connecting previously incarcerated people with apprenticeships, pre-apprenticeship programs, and getting folks jobs. That they also brought along CHIC, or the Collaborative Healing Initiative within communities. It's another service provider and connector to the person that was presenting as women in construction and pre-apprenticeship programs. Those are two service providers of many that HP will be, or Hensel Phelps will be working with in order to accomplish their goals. So that was the first part of the meeting. We also introduced the housing topic. Mike Bouchard was there, and in addition to representatives from Denver's Department of Housing Stability, or HOST, introduced the housing topic. Talked about the market study, which was then sent out after the meeting, in addition to the slides. We will be coming back in 2 weeks, in October 8th, to continue the housing discussion. We will also have hosts there again. We are curious to hear your questions and look forward to more discussion around housing. That is the only topic on the agenda for the task force coming up on the 8th. Any questions for me on equestrian?
Okay. We'll move on to community partner updates. Eduardo, did you want to do an update?
Yeah, I had a little flyer, I think, but for the November 2nd Saturday, we're doing clothing donations. We're partnering with Goodwill. So if you have any extra clothing that would like to have a second life, a second chance, feel free to come bring it to Spur, and getting a clothing box to donate from now to then, and then that day of the second Saturday, you can also donate more clothing. That's the biggest announcement. Huh?
I will send that out to the chat.
Perfect, thank you.
Anything else, Eduardo?
The other thing, if you want to attend the October 2nd Saturday for Halloween and Dia de los Muertos themes, or Dia de los Muertos themed, I would love if you want to table and set up a table at Spur with some fun Dia de los Muertos activities. It's a little bit early, but it should be fun nonetheless. I always love having you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Did you want to talk about these, Lori?
No, I'm gonna include it in the chat.
Oh, okay, that's good. Nothing else from our partners. Any public comment? Christina.
Hi, I just wanted to chat a little bit more about the Fall Fest that we have coming up on October 4th. Everybody's invited. We do have some limited space available for any community partners that would like to table. And then there's a ton of free food, a ton of free activities for kids, and we'll be having a ton of live entertainment. It will be at the 4400 Pearl Street, the Pocket Park. So we're activating the Pocket Park. So if anybody would like to table, please contact me. I'll put my email in the chat.
Great, thanks, Christina.
Thank you.
Any other? Okay.
I do.
well,
I was going to
think
raise my hand, Catherine.
Okay, Angela, go ahead.
Thank you. I'm just glad to see Beth in the room. Having worked with Beth for I don't know how long now, Beth.
Really too long.
I have been a thorn in I know I have been a thorn in her side about many things, but I can say from personal experience that Beth has always answered my questions. She's never ignored me. She answers the questions very quickly, so I'm glad to see that you're here, Beth. Thank you.
You know, that's very nice. And we've been through a lot, yeah, a lot of projects.
Okay, if there's no other comments, then we'll conclude tonight's meeting. And thank you all for being here. Don't forget the housing discussion will happen at the Center Task Force meeting on October 8th, and then we have our monthly meeting a month from today. Adjourn. Yeah. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, nice to meet you too.
Thanks, everyone.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah, I'm excited to kind of get them. I think of the and I've been